kind of crazy to talk about the PlayStation 6 already, but it's coming. We got pretty substantial new leaks that I want to go over. 2027 seems to be the release year. Yes, really. And we can look at the prices as well. It's very interesting. Sony has a very particular goal with the PlayStation 6 too. And there's a handheld that can seemingly run PlayStation 6 games, PS5 games as well. So let's go over everything. Of course, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below as well. I first want to shout out Moore's Law is Dead for reporting on this information. I will leave a link to his video in the video description. As you can see, he goes very in depth on the technical aspects. I'm not really a technical type of person, but I watched the video and looked at all the sort of highlights that I think are worth discussing more as a sort of goal from Sony, what the price will be. Because if we look at one of the files that was shared basically here, but basically Moore's Law is Dead made an estimation of what these consoles can cost, looking at the parts that they are using. And then you already see a very interesting type of thing. For one, there seem to be 3 PlayStation 6 consoles in the works. One of them is a handheld, one of them is a PlayStation 6S, similar to the Series S from Xbox, and one is the Orion codename, basically the actual console. So what is interesting looking at this already is that it looks to be that even though these systems are going to be more powerful, thanks to the technical advancements that we're making, Sony can make these products for way less money. And that is also an incentive for them to release this maybe sooner than we are all ready for it. Like, it feels like the PS5 generation, it still needs a couple of years, like 3 years at least, with some really big games where I'm like, whoa. Like that Witcher demo, for example, that was the first time where I was like, and we know that that's not even real, it's like a tech demo. But if a game releases on the PS5 that looks like that, I was like, okay, we're hitting. I think GTA 6 will of course be that moment for this generation, but I hope there are more. And it does feel like the PS4 had more of these moments. But yeah, we still have 2 years, according to Moore's Law, that these systems seem to be going into manufacturing mode mid-2027 and then release at the end of the year. So an interesting thing regarding this is the prices. Let's go over those first. As you can see, again, they seem to cost way less than the PS5 cost right now. And yeah, there is a good reason for that. They are not including a disk drive here, which seems to be $25 for Sony to put in. We, of course, have seen that with the PS5 Pro already, where Sony is like, okay, if we can put this system on the market for this price without a disk drive, you can buy the disk drive later. And it's only in Sony's benefit that the game or the console doesn't have a disk drive, because then the only way you can buy games for the system is through their own PlayStation store, where they get a ton of the money and do not have to share it with any of the retailers that, of course, are selling games as well. But it does seem that the PlayStation 6 will probably still have the external disk drive you can buy, but probably none of the systems will have a disk drive as like a built-in option. I had a comment under the Sunday video. Of course, every week we post a weekly news roundup. I will also look at the comments there, insert them in these videos if they are interesting. No disk drive is wild. Massive backlash if they decide this. Again, I think it will happen, but I think they will still have the option. They really have to make enough of them, though, because that was mostly the issue with the disk drive we had for the other PS5. But for the PS5 Pro in particular, where they raised price and you could not buy them, etc. But yeah, they were testing the waters. We don't hear anyone talk about it. Every year, more and more games are getting bought digitally, less and less games physically. So it's like only a matter of time. And yeah, again, it's in Sony's best interest to kill the physical market, or at least reduce it significantly. So you might be like, hey, why a PlayStation 6S? The PlayStation 5, that could be the PS6S, right? Well, again, it really seems that this new console might even be a bit more powerful than the PlayStation 5, but cheaper to make. And they can then also sell it for a way lower price. And the reason for that, and that was the goal that I've been alluding to earlier in this video, is that there's a problem right now going on. And that is that, okay, so here in June 2025, Sony confirms PS5 has more monthly active users than PS4 for the first time. We're in year 5 of the PlayStation 5. And only in June, so 4.5 years after the PS5 has released, there were more monthly active users on PS5 than PS4. Why this is crazy is that the most hardcore people that play games usually upgrade. So obviously they will also be playing more because, yeah, they are more engaged, so they also upgrade. This generation, that has not been the case. People are totally fine with their PS4s, and of course all the live service games that are still getting supported for those systems, Call of Duty, the sports games, that is like a lot of the games that are being played on these platforms. They are still supported on the old platform. So all these people, they are looking at the PS5, it's only getting like going up in price. $500, $600 for a new system that plays the same games that I'm already playing and that I can still buy. They don't see a reason for it. And that is a big problem for Sony for multiple reasons. So here's what we see. 124 monthly active users they had. And yeah, PS5 is overtaking it now. But it's still, if you like do the math, 50 million monthly active users are on PS4. That is wild. And what they are seeing here is that people on PS5 are actually buying more. This is what the average user on PlayStation 5 is spending, and this is what the average user on PS4 is spending in the same point in the generation. So they're also seeing that if we are able to have them jump to the new hardware, they're likely going to spend more as well. Plus, and that's of course the major thing in general with this, finally next year it seems that many live service developers are ending support for PS4. In previous generations, support would end, like we didn't really have a lot of these live service games, of course, but we would not have PS4 versions of these games 5 years into the generation. It's crazy. But they are looking at the numbers, all these games, and are like, 20% of the audience is on these consoles. Maybe it's even more. If we stop support, we're missing out on a lot of money. But at one point they have to, because, we hear, especially awful on the slow hard drive that shipped in the PS4. The SSD is, of course, the biggest advancement from the PS4 to PS5, especially for the open world games or the big multiplayer games. It's really, really important to render things way faster, etc. And to have to work on the PS4 hardware, it sucks. So it seems that Sony's goal is, with the PlayStation 6, to move people to the new generation. And a big way to do that is to have a low price. And that seems to be why there's a PlayStation 6S. So, of course, it can still be that it's not happening, it's still a rumor, but basically, Moore's Law's dad has a lot of documentations where they are saying that moving people over from the PS4 to the next generation is one of the most important things. And maybe they're hearing that from developers as well, like also with the PS5, like with every Sony console, of course, from the PS3 to PS4. PS3 had the cell processor. People did not like that. So for the PS4, they made something that was more reminiscent of a PC. PS5 was even easier to develop for, etc., etc. PlayStation 6, they're likely hearing feedback, find a way to have people upgrade from PS4 to your next platform, because then we're all aligned. Then, sure, maybe the fidelity, maybe those games are still going to be 30 FPS on the PlayStation 6, as maybe it's still going to be 1080p, but at least we have the better SSD, we have the better system, software, whatever, and we don't have to worry about the PS4 anymore, the 2013 console. So that seems to be, and I think that's very interesting, one reason why they're doing a smaller system that could cost as low as $250, probably not, but $400, $350 I think would be sick. If it's gonna be cheap, like what if the PlayStation 6S is cheaper than the PlayStation 5? Moore's Law's dad has said that after the PlayStation 6 has come out, there's no reason for Sony to make PS5s again, because they are harder or like more expensive to manufacture, and the PS6 is a bit better. Like we will talk about the bigger PS6 of course as well. So that is the Orion console, the one over here. This is gonna be probably, yeah, could be the same price as the PS5 Pro. Will of course be way better, but this is gonna be your high-end, your real next-gen machine. They seem to be aiming for 124K, FPS 4K. I really think, and that's what we're probably going to see with this the next generation as well. At one point, we've kind of reached the point where what is, like, in terms of technical leaps, what else can we do? We now also have AI that with way less can create frame boost, can create resolution boost. So that means that actually the tech inside the machine doesn't have to be as strong anymore, because you can use tricks like AI to beef that up. PS5 Pro, of course, has some of these features. So it seems like they're kind of maybe not making a big technical leap, but really focusing on a lot of AI features. So maybe there will be some cool, like we learned about, maybe Sony is doing yeah, this sounds maybe corny, but like a chat bot who can share tips when playing. Like, maybe they will look more at software things that will make the PS6 feel like a new console instead of it being technical things. So then they can also sell the product for less. Because do we really need more than 4K 120 FPS? I mean, people now do have a 4K screen, but not everyone can do 120 FPS. 8K is not really a thing. Do we need more than 120 FPS? Probably not. So we're hitting a ceiling, and yeah, I do think that could be beneficial to make the next generation a bit more appealing, or like broader accessible for people who right now with the PS5 generation are like $550, $600 for a console. I don't know. Another wrinkle to this is, of course, the handheld. And, of course, Sony has already... Like, there are multiple things that, of course, have happened in the last few years. The PlayStation Portal has been a thing that has done way better than Sony anticipated. And, yeah, of course, we have the Switch 2 coming out. We have Steam Deck doing well. The ROG Ally. Xbox, of course, coming with their iteration of that. So, handhelds have been way more popular. And Sony was there really, really early with a handheld type machine, but they've kind of, given up on the FIDA mantra and are now, seemingly returning. But one of the big things that the rumored PlayStation 6 handheld is gonna do different this time is it's able to play PS4, PlayStation 5 games, and even PS6 games, but like at a very low setting. So 30 FPS probably, maybe the PlayStation 6S settings. So that way they don't have to make exclusive content for the machine. That was why one of the big reasons, I mean the memory cards of course, but also, that was one of the big reasons why the FIDA failed. Sony had to go to companies and be like, you're not making a PlayStation 4 game. No, instead you're making a FIDA game, or even a PS3 game it was, right? So, it was like completely... it did not work. Sony never really works with sporting two systems at the same time. We saw that with PSVR as well. PSVR 2, they only had one studio make an exclusive Horizon game. They did not even bother with other things. Because, why not have them make PlayStation 5 games? That's way more lucrative. Now they can make those console games that then also work on the handheld. So I think that's exciting. So these games are going to be played natively instead of being streaming. And also here, Moore's Law's Dead is really, really, ballsy basically on the price. He says that they want to compete with Switch 2. Switch 2 is $450. So maybe they're going to be like $500. He also said that a lot of the times, or in the documentation, a lot of notes are like, we have to keep the cost low for the handheld, blah, blah, blah. They are seemingly using new tech. Again, I'm not really a technical person. I think it's very interesting that the Portal is $200 and then they are launching a few years later a native machine that can run these games natively for only $300 more. But I think the PS Portal is probably priced way too high for what it actually does. But I still like the machine, but it's quite expensive, of course. Basically, in general, it seems that Sony is taking a different strategy for the PlayStation 6. And I think that that's very interesting. So, like, Sony is making the most money from people playing in their walled garden. People playing, spending time on the PlayStation Store, buying games. That is how they make the most money. So it makes sense in multiple ways. They've really been talking about, we want to increase the engagement on our platform, because more engagement means more money you spend there. And the portal is one way to do it. Like, of course, like the ad I just showed, it's, oh, someone wants to use the TV. Normally it would be like, oh, then I cannot play my PlayStation. And now it's like, hey, I can play on the portal. And with the PlayStation 6S, they want to get the people from PS4 over to PS6, hopefully with like a good deal for them. And they then see, yo, when people are on a new platform, they will likely spend more. Developers are happy because they can just support a newer version instead of the PS4. With the handheld, people can take their games everywhere. So there is no excuse to not play PlayStation because you're not able to. And they can still have a PS6 home console with all the bells and whistles we expect. But because of new tech, it seems to be, of course, more capable than the PS5 Pro, but less pricey. And I think having the barrier to entry low is going to be very important because they want you playing on their systems. It's like buying a printer. You buy the printer, it's pretty cheap, but then you pay for all the peripherals for the ink to basically get your papers printed out. It seems like Sony is looking at that as well. And again, I think the next generational leap might not be that big, but maybe with other software solutions or whatever, they're still making it exciting. But I think it's cool if more people, if we're all aligned on one platform. I do worry though with all these PS6S, PS6 handheld, and PS6 home console that we're not gonna get those oh my god games anymore because they have to run on all these other platforms. And I'm sure this means that the PS5 will be supported for a very long time as well. But again, if you can get a PlayStation 6S that is cheaper than a PS5, why not immediately jump to the PS6S? It's fascinating. Hope you, I hope it all made sense. Of course, if you have questions or something, I want to hear your thoughts again as well in the comments, or if you're watching live in the chat right now, let's discuss it. But yeah, that was my kind of breakdown of the leak. Again, it's a leak. Take it with a grain of salt. I gave it 2 stars in the Sunday video where I was like, not so sure, but Moore's Law is Dead has been right before. And I think at least the handheld part is gonna be true. It seems to be docked as well, touchscreen, and I'm excited. I would buy it. I'm playing a lot of my RGLA right now. Playing Shadows on that feels surreal. Playing Shadows on a handheld feels surreal. So yeah, that's my final note on that. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.